Welcome back. We still have with us Mr. Femi Adeshina, who is a special advisor to the president on media and publicity. Just before we went on that break, we were saying that we're going to talk about some of the issues that the protesters themselves raised. Let's talk about this fight against corruption. They believe that this fight has not been all-inclusive, that this is not been as holistic as they thought it was going to be. And they cite the recent example of the letters that the president wrote back to the Senate before he went on vacation.
Yes, it's a timeless and endless allegation in Nigeria. Under former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who started the anti-corruption war, he was also accused of the same. All subsequent governments also had those allegations, except maybe those who didn't fight corruption at all. Therefore, the fact that those allegations are coming up should not surprise anybody. But then specifically on the letter that the president wrote back to the Senate, the interpretation of people has been that the president has cleared somebody. No, that is not the interpretation of the letter. The president raised issues. This is a 9-man committee. I see only 3 signatures. That means it's a minority report. A minority report should not have come to me. Then the person being accused, the SGF, was not given the opportunity to defend himself. You should ensure that he sits with you to defend himself. 3, the company at the center of a ruler vision was not invited to defend itself. So I return your report so that you do the proper thing.
Have you listened to the senators since then?
Yes, I have.
You have heard them debunk accusations?
I have, but is there a word against that of the president?
And you've also heard that a lot of lawyers believe that the president is looking at technicalities. One, yes, they say he's looking at technicalities, he's not looking at the meat of the matter. And the 2, he really doesn't have any business with the procedures of the Senate. Ooh. That what he should be concerned with is the resolution that the big house, the larger house, has reached and are asking that he act upon.
No, fairness has to do with procedures. If the procedure is not right, then the conclusion cannot also be right. I think what is needful, the president having pointed out those procedural issues, is that the procedures be complied with.
This accusation
and a new report sent to the president.
These accusations trailed the president, the SGF, even before the Senate concluded its hearings on the matter. And he was aware, the presidency would have been aware that, perhaps certain investigations were going on in this regard. Did the presidency also involve the police to conduct its own investigations into what could have been happening?
No. You know what the presidency did was to refer it to the office of the Attorney General. And the Attorney General turned in his report. It was after then.
What precisely was referred to the Attorney General? Because a lot of people believe that was just for the case of the acting chairman of the EFCC. Both.
So
the Attorney General did investigate the SGF as well?
Yes.
And that was the report of their findings?
I don't have information on the report submitted by the Attorney General, but he did submit a report. So it can be inferred that what the president wrote back to the Senate must have come from the report the Attorney General sent. And the Attorney General is empowered to do that kind of thing all over the world. You have even seen a sitting Attorney General, an Attorney General in the U.S. investigate a sitting president. It happened under Clinton. I think it was Janet Reno, the Attorney General then, who investigated the sitting president. So Attorney Generals are empowered to investigate.
People would not take question with that. They would wonder whether or not our Attorney General is the type that can investigate our president. That's the question they'll ask. Because if at the end of the day you say that there was an investigation and we don't get into the meat of the president's own investigation, by that I mean into the meat of the matter, but instead we dwell on whether or not 3 people signed, whether the Roller Vision was invited, whether the SGF himself was invited, people will wonder whether that's the kind of investigation we should be talking about. Why has the SGF not been asked to step aside?
No, you don't hang a man over allegations. You don't hang a man over allegations.
Would it be wrong to reinstate him if truly he hasn't done anything?
The onus is on him to step aside if he decides to. But if the president that asked him to step aside, the odium is already on him, and he lives with it for the rest of his life.
Even if he is cleared?
If he is cleared, this is Nigeria. This is Nigeria, we all know. The moment he's asked to step aside, he's tainted for life. So why don't we then get to the bottom of it all, so that when the decision is taken, it's a fair decision to all the parties involved?
Well, I know that one of the things that was also on the front burner with the protest is the rising cost of commodities, food prices especially. You know, you go to the market today, following day the price is different. People are not even able to plan. And then joblessness, unemployment is rife in the land. What is the government doing about it? Okay,
let me give you 3 economic statistics to answer that question. When the Obasanjo administration left, there was about $64 billion in our external reserve. Yar'Adua, despite ill health, increased it slightly. And then a new government came. By the time that government left after 5 years, over $64 billion had become about $29 billion. And don't forget that during that period, oil prices went as high as $110 per barrel. It was a time of boom for Nigeria. Instead of the external reserves rising, it was depleted to more than half of what that government made. That is one reason. Now, you can't even defend your currency against the vicissitudes of the economy. That is one reason. Let me give you another statistics. By the time Olusegun Obasanjo left, the excess crude account had $12 billion. By the time the last administration left, you know how much was in that account? About $2 billion. And that was at a time when oil prices were at the highest. $110 per barrel, reaching $120 per barrel during the administration. Let me give you another one. As at the end of 2014, Nigeria was earning average of $3.5 billion a month from oil. $3.5 billion a month. At middle of 2015, it dropped sharply to about 500 million. Check 3.5 billion to 500 billion. When we were earning $3.5 billion per month, what did we save? Rather, it was then that even our external savings were depleted. All these now landed us where we are today.
Mr. Adeshina, people will say that this did not happen before the president took over. I mean, there were problems that people could see in the offing, and they asked this administration if they were willing to tackle it headlong. They believe that they've had time to come up with a plan to ensure that, you know, the effects of this kinds of things are not felt so strongly by Nigerian people. What people attack or accuse this government of is lethargy. They believe that government is not acting as decisively as it ought to, or did not take the decisions as quickly as it ought to have when it took office, and that's the reason why we're where we are.
Well, those who say that have a right to their opinions, but their opinions do not constitute the gospel truth. The truth will remain what it is, the truth, and the truth is that there was nothing.
You do not believe that, for instance, now when it took the president over 6 months to appoint his ministers, it's taking him how long more to appoint people into government parastatals, you know, to ensure that we have people in full capacity, not in acting capacity. I think someone was making a joke over the internet and asking if Nigeria is a country full of actors. You know, when we have a lot of people in acting capacity. Why is the president not decisive in terms of the people that he wants to occupy certain offices so that work can start?
Well, the bureaucracy is in charge of things like that. And what we have been told is that there's work in progress. But don't forget, wait. Don't forget that the party in government is a conglomeration made up of legacy parties. You had the old ACN, you had CPC, you had AMPP, you had a faction of ABGA and all that. It takes a while to put together, particularly boards, and I stand to be corrected. No past administration had constituted boards in his first year.
There was a transition committee. What was the job of the transition committee?
Don't forget what I've just said. No past administration had constituted
boards. Are you talking about Nigeria
boards.
or you're talking about
Nigeria? No past administration had constituted boards in his first year.
You just
go and check.
Said we're in 21 months.
21 months
since this government took over. 21
yes.
months is almost 2 years. We're not celebrating 1 year of this government administration.
I agree with you.
So what is happening? What has happened is almost 2 years. That's enough time, you don't think?
It will be done. That's all I can just say about that. It will be done.
The question is when?
When? You
because people believe that is part of the reason why things are going haywire.
Not exactly. Not exactly. Not exactly. Things are going haywire because we are paying the price for what had gone wrong in this country. And like Minister Mechi said, these things will not be corrected in 1 year or in 21 months. And he said, by the time this government is ending, at least this time is ending in 2019, come and see what we will have achieved. I think that should be the best attitude from Nigerians. This has taken a long time coming. Let's see what they will do within the time available to them.
Well, right now we understand that how will I put it now, the acting chief judge. Why do you think the acting chief judge has acted for so long?
No, it's within the law. It's within the law, and I believe before 10th it will be sorted out.
For a lot of people, this is unprecedented.
It's not unprecedented, really. No, it's not unprecedented. What they forget is that Justice Idris Kutigi, Lebo Kutigi, got into position after acting. So
for how long?
No, it's not. It does not matter. But there is a precedent that the CJN had acted, and the law says the CJN can act for 3 months. It's not 3 months yet. So I don't think why we need to really dwell on that so much. If it is 10th February now and it's not done, of course, yes.
Why does the president seem to favor people in acting capacity? I mean, he doesn't seem to make decisive appointments as he ought.
Yeah, I like that the word you use, seem to favor. That then therefore means that it is not exactly reality. If you say seem to favor, that means that is not quite reality. It's just a perception.
That's what's on the face. We have at least 2 examples to point to.
Two will not be enough.
At the very least, I mean, off the top of my head, I'm sure if we do a little more research, we will find a lot more people in acting capacity.
Two will not be enough in a country of 180 million people.
2 critical.
One
is supposed to head the third arm of government.
The judiciary, which is within the law. We have discussed that.
Who
is the second one?
Which is, not decisive enough.
Who is
the second is the acting EFCC chair, which is supposed to be pivotal to one of the campaign promises of this government.
That will not be the first person that will also be an acting chairman.
Does it help? That's the question.
Well,
does it help to have these people in acting capacities? For a government that says that this is what we want to do when we take office, shouldn't we see some decision
unless you have the total picture, you may not know. And because there's a president who sits atop the system, he has an helicopter view of that system. He's the one who knows why he wants those people in acting capacity.
He doesn't think he should let us in? After all, the people voted for him.
It's not, no. I think we at times we say too much about this. After all, the people voted for him. Yes, the people voted for him, and the people will always matter in a democracy. But having given a mandate to a man, let him exercise it.
Let's go to Lagos for some questions.